Hi viewers, so today we will learn how to create a new feature, that is a point data using Python program in QGIS. So it means that a new layer can be created. So first we need to understand open QGIS. Whatever the version you are having, you can download from the various open sources. Go to plugins, then Python console. Once you open Python console, we can see that map canvas as well as Python console. Program can be written or run by using Python console. So for better illustration, now we are copying the program into document so that it is very easy to understand. So here see that details are given. So creation of point data using Python in QGIS. So first step we need to understand, we need to consider the geometry type as well as provider for the data source. So whatever the geometry we are considering, which is named as layer. So layer is equal to QgsVectorLayer. It is the basic programming code. Then we need to assign all the types. QgsVectorLayer, then within parenthesis type point, then CRS is equal to EPSG. So CRS is point type, then CRS is equal to EPSG 4326 is nothing but WGS 1984 projection information. Then it is nothing but point type, I mean the name we are considering, and data is stored into memory. It is the basic thing for the case of geometry type. Then provider for the data source can be written as provider is equal to layer.dataProvider. It is the second code for the case of data source. So then we can copy or we can type in Python console, copy and paste here. See that data is clearly written or pasted here. Then make it as OK. Then go to provider, I mean layer.dataProvider. Another step, we need to add the fields. So whatever the data we have created, empty data, now we need to understand required fields, whatever we required can be added by means of provider.addAttributes. It is what code. Then we need to type it as a name of, I mean field name, whatever we required. Then we need to understand need to be assigned a type. As a name field we are considering it as a string, QVariant.String. Then likewise we can give n number of fields like id. Here we are considering it as integer.int. So if you required n number of or more field, we can add by means of copying paste and assigning variant type. So both you copy, so we can copy both codes, then paste into Python console. Right, to see that so both we have added into the program. So then we can update by means of update fields. So layer.updateFields, it is very important to consider. So whatever the fields we are considered name and id, which are updated into the feature type called layer. It is the first part. Then we can see that the second part, we need to now assign the, I mean create new features and assign the geometry. So as we are considering point data, we can identify the latitude and longitude and assign for the various points. So first point, we need to remember feature to be considered. It is very important. So that we are coding it as f is equal to QGS features, measure which we are creating a feature, right? So we need to understand f will be the feature type. So for that we are creating various points, right? F is equal to feature. Maybe f may be considering whatever it may be, feature equal to, or sometimes FEA is equal to, or FE is equal to, or F is equal to, whatever you wish you can write. Only thing is that we need to remember whatever the code we have assigned. Then you identify the points which we required. Maybe here for illustration I have considered 4 points, that is P1 is equal to latitude longitude can be assigned by means of coding QgsPointXY. Within parenthesis you provide the longitude and latitude. Likewise you create 4 points with their locations P1, P2, P3, P4 with their respective latitude and longitude. You copy all. We can also copy all at a time, then you just paste here, or if you wish to type you can type here. See that 4 points are added, P1, P2, P3 and P4. Then we can assign the geometry. So whatever the new features we have added, for that we need to assign the geometry. Geometry can be assigned by means of setGeometry. So a code for that f.setGeometry within parenthesis QgsGeometry.fromPointXY. Then we need to consider the point, whatever the point. So first point, or we can also consider the latitude longitude by means of value which we assigned for the P1. Okay, so it is the code for the case of assigning set geometry. Then whatever the geometry we consider for the particular point, even attributes can also be considered for that. So attribute means we have already created fields like name and ID. Here we are giving name as lower left, ID as 1. So lower left will be assigned under the name, 1 will be assigned under ID for the P1. Okay, then another code we need to remember, provider.addFeature, so that whatever the features we are considering which will be added to the provider. It is very important. Then same can be considered for the case of number of points. See that whatever the provided addFeature within parenthesis f we are considering is nothing but feature. That feature can be considered for the case of provider, where provider can be understood by means of layer. So likewise you consider for all the points, name here for P2 upper left, then for P3 it is upper right with ID 3, then provider.addFeatures f, then for 4.4 like lower right, name as lower right and ID as 4, set attributes lower right and 4, then provide.addFeatures. It is the standard programming code for the case of setting geometry for all the points which you have. Then ultimately we can update the layer. So once you add all the points like point 1, point 2, point 3 and point 4, you can copy up to provider.addFeatures f. Then we can write here, same the thing we can write here. So once we have updated all the geometry for the case of all the points, then we can conclude by updating point 1, 2, 3 and 4. You just see here all the see that all the points are properly added. So once we are able to identify, then we can update extents, layer.updateExtend. It means that all the extents or features are updated into the layer. It is our second part. So then whatever the features we have so far updated for the case of layer, that can be added to the layers panel or into the map canvas. It is the simple programming code QGS project.instant empty parenthesis dot add map layer. Then within parenthesis we need to give the name of the layer. Our name of the layer is layer. You simply copy the code QGS project.instance empty parenthesis dot add map layer. It is very important to add the particular layer into our QGS. QGS canvas. See that see the layer table of content point is added here. Then if you see the map canvas where we can identify 4 points are updated. Point 1, point 2, point 3 and point 4. We can identify attribute information by right click on file name, open attribute table. Here we can identify attribute information for all the points. We can identify lower left point, then upper left point, then third one is upper right point, and last one is lower right point with their IDs. Whatever the fields we have considered called name and ID, which can save file. You just see that code. Then whatever our data is in the form of active layer, then output path. See that D test name is test.point.shp, then see projection information along with the file type. See that empty folder is created in a specified path, then make it OK. Now we can identify file is saved in path. Just see that file given test to identify. So then give the layer. Just here type path is equal to give your file destination or file path where it is exactly. File is saved in path. Just see that file given test point is saved under the folder called test under D. That is what how to save the file or export file. Then another step we can follow to import the data or how to open the data. It may be useful for any data. If you have defined shapefile in your defined path, can be opened. Then just select the path or give the name for the path. Path is equal to D test point.shp. It is very important to identify. So then give the layer. Just here type path is equal to give your file destination or file path where it is exactly. Then name the layer. Here we are, as we already given a layer, you give layer file is equal to QgsVectorLayer. Then whatever the layer we are considering, that we are importing the data as path. That means that from the given path. Then if you wish, you give your name. Then OGR is nothing but vector data file type. So we need to assign the one file name, then required optional name and OGR. See that whatever the name we have assigned for the file path, then that has to be given here. Then make it enter. Once you assign that, then ultimate code to add the layer QGS project.instance empty parenthesis dot add map layer. So within parenthesis layer file, whatever the name we have assigned for a vector layer has to be given here. It is the final code to add the data. See that test point is added into the table of content. We can switch off the points, then right click on point, then open attribute table. Here also we can identify the attribute information along with the fields. Field names called name and ID. Okay, that is about how to create the new point data, then how to export the data, then how to save into the path, then how to open the data. Okay, thank you one and all for your patience listening.